Okay, folks, I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon and The Blackest Heart and The Lonesome Crown, all published by Simon & Schuster Saga Press. Don't be alarmed, folks, by the cosplay. This is what I wear when I go to Raiders games and I sit in the black hole. That's right. We're going to be reviewing Badasses. The Legend of Snake, Food, Dr. Death, and John Madden's Oakland Raiders by Peter Richmond. This is a fantastic book. Let me tell you something. Let me give you a little bit of history on me and the Raiders. Why am I a Raiders fan? Why am I obsessed with this thing? Why am I obsessed with the silver and black? Why would I wear this garbage? Well, let me tell you. When I was a kid, just a little kid, 1977, the same year that Star Wars came out, something else happened in my life that was life-changing. And that was, I was sitting at church one day in Fairbanks, Alaska, and a kid that I was friends with at church said, "Hey, after church, my family is throwing a Super Bowl party." I was like, I don't know what a Super Bowl party is. I don't know what a Super Bowl is. But I'll go because I thought I liked my friend. I thought he was a cool dude. So I go to his Super Bowl party. There's food, fun, all that stuff. And there's a thing on the television called a football game. I was not aware of that football existed. I was so young. I was just a kid. I mean, I was a small kid. And I'm telling you, I sat there and I watched that Super Bowl and I became addicted. And it was the Oakland Raiders versus the Minnesota Vikings in the Super Bowl, and the Oakland Raiders won that game. They kicked the Vikings' butt, and I fell in love right there on the spot. That was my thing. That was my team. Those were my guys. Football was my new obsession, and I could not think of anything else for the next year. I said to my friend, "That was awesome. When is the next Super Bowl going to happen?" And he's like, "Well, not till next year this time." And, so there's going to be like this off season, like 6 months they don't play, and then they play a season. And I was like, "Well, when does the season start?" And he's like, "Well, it doesn't start until September." And I was like, "That's so long for a little kid. That's just forever." I'm like, I was obsessed. And then what happened was it came out that there was this, a few months after the Raiders won the Super Bowl, there was this book that came out called Ken Stabler and the Oakland Raiders, and it was about their Super Bowl winning season that I just watched. And so I read this book over and over. It's really the first book as a small kid. I mean, I'm talking way younger than 10 years old. A small kid. First book that I ever read, and I read that thing over and over and over, and I got to know all the players by heart. I knew, because I'd watched the Super Bowl, I already knew most of the players, but then I read that book over and over in preparation for the season to start, and then the season started. And the first game was going to be on TV in Fairbanks, Alaska, and I was so excited to watch it, and it was on a Sunday, and my mom said, "Time to get ready for church, everybody." I was like, "Church? No, it's the Raiders are playing football." And my mom's like, "Well, you got to go to church." And I'm like, "But the Raiders are playing football right now." She's like, "Well, you got to go to church. I mean, that's what Jesus would want. What would Jesus want you to do? Stay home and watch football?" And I said, "Well, I want to watch football." And she's like, "Well, what would Jesus do?" And I said, "Well, it's not fair, Mom. It's not fair. You want me to go to church and miss the football game. But Jesus gets to watch the football game. Jesus sees everything. He's watching the game. Why can't I watch the game?" And my mom did not appreciate my logic or reason, and she forced me to go to church. And so there I am sitting through church, dying inside because I want to watch the Raiders. And that was the first inkling that I had that church was not for me, and I should probably be an atheist. And look at me now. Look at me now. Here we are, a lot of years later, and church has gone bye-bye a long time ago, and I sit and I watch every Raiders game that I want without guilt, because I don't care. Because I want to live a great, happy life. Sitting in church, that ain't doing it for me. Sitting in the sports bar, eating chicken wings and watching the Oakland Raiders every week, and heaven. It's heaven. It's heaven. I don't need a savior. I need the Raiders. I need the badasses, which is the book we're gonna review. The book we're gonna review. It's all about the Oakland Raiders season where they won the Super Bowl that I watched when I was a kid. I mean, there was this little teeny book that came out at the time, but then this one came out just a few years ago, and it is cool. It goes into a lot more depth about that Super Bowl winning season than that little book over there did. And as you can see, I collect a lot of Raiders books. I got The Snake, I got Ken Stabler biographies, I've got Marcus Allen biographies, Tim Brown biographies, Bo Jackson biographies. I got the biography of the Oakland Raiders doctor, the guy, the on-field doctor. I've got the you can call me they call me assassin, the defensive back. I got Al Davis's John Madden's biography. Got them all. I mean, I collect every book that comes out about the Raiders. I got it. So you wouldn't. So I mean, it only goes to. So, let me tell you something else about my childhood, folks. Let me tell you something else before we get into the book. Just indulge me, please, because I am so passionate about. I am more passionate about the Raiders than I am about writing, artwork, reading, anything. This is my passion. If I could have been an Oakland Raider, I would have been. I just didn't have the skills. Man's got to know his limitations. I played high school football. In fact, here's my Raiders tattoo. Number 32, I was number 32 in honor of my man Marcus Allen. And I'm telling you, that season, I couldn't watch a lot of the football games, even though I wanted to, because my mom dragged me off to church. But I got to see a few. I got to see a handful, enough. And then it came Christmas time, and I was the type of kid that never really enjoyed Christmas. I never really asked Santa for any gifts. I never did anything like that. Finally, though, this year I wanted a gift. The JCPenney catalog, the Sears catalog, I can't remember which, the Sears catalog had all the NFL helmets in the catalog. And I said to Santa, that's the only thing I want. Just give me an Oakland Raiders helmet. That's the only thing. And my parents were stunned because I had never asked Santa for anything. I mean, they had to guess what kind of things I wanted for Christmas up until this point. And then I decided to tell Santa I want an Oakland Raiders helmet, just like this. So Christmas morning comes. It was the first Christmas Eve that I couldn't sleep, right? I was so excited for the Oakland Raiders helmet. I get up in the morning. There's no helmet under the tree. What there was, though, was a white construction worker's helmet with a black magic marker, the Raiders logo drawn on it, and a note that said, "From Santa, Dear Brian, we ran out of Raiders helmets up at the North Pole. So, hope this makes do." And I was crushed. And I think my parents at that point were like, "Oh, we probably shouldn't have played that joke." As a kid, it's the only thing he's ever asked for Christmas, and we've pretty much royally screwed it up for him. And but then I was opening some other gifts later in the morning, and I opened another gift in a Christmas card that said, "Hey, it's Santa. Guess what? I think I magically maybe delivered a helmet to your house. Go look behind the piano." And I was like, "What?" So I go look behind the piano, and lo and behold, this helmet was there. This very helmet. I still have it. I've used it so much it's all beat up and scratched from when I was a kid. This helmet was behind the piano, and man, I was the happiest kid in the world. By the way, if you don't believe that story, it's on YouTube. My dad filmed the whole thing. My dad filmed that whole scenario. And I put it on YouTube, so I will link to that on YouTube. And you can see me as a little kid staring at the crappy construction hat helmet and then going behind the piano to get the real helmet. It's pretty classic, all right? I'll link to it at the end of this. Badasses. Let's talk about badasses now. This book here about Ken Stabler, John Madden, and the gang. All right, man. Let me tell you, man. There was no NFL team that strutted through the NFL during the 1970s and 80s like, they were on the dark side, and then they strutted arrogantly along the dark side through the NFL, just kicking ass. Not kicking ass, but kicking ass. They took on the role of the bad guys, of the Darth Vaders, of the evil dark side outlaws and villains of the NFL. These guys were the ultimate outlaws of the NFL at the time. They cheated, they did anything they could to win. In fact, just win, baby. That was Al Davis. Al Davis is the owner. He's the guy that started the Raiders. He's the guy that picked out their colors, their logos, and everything. Guy's a genius, a football genius, marketing genius. Al Davis, just win, baby. He didn't care if they cheated. He didn't care if they were violent. He didn't care what they did, just as long as they won. And he hired this guy, John Madden, who was just like a slovenly, fat dude, to be their coach. In fact, the genius of Al Davis, let's talk about him for a second. Al Davis was the first NFL owner to ever hire a Hispanic head coach. He was the first guy to ever hire a black head coach. Tom Flores was the coach, and Art Shell was the first ever black head coach of the NFL. And Al Davis was always forward thinking that way. But he created in the 70s this team. They were the ultimate outlaws and cheaters. They were rowdy. They were full of players that were cast-offs, misfits, rowdy dirtbags, just cast aside from other teams, and he collected them up and created this 1977 Super Bowl winning team out of players just that were straight out of a superhero novels, right? These guys were outrageous, and they were violent, and they were characters. They would have beer and strippers on the sidelines when you read this book. John Madden was their coach. He was a slob. He didn't have any rules for the team. There's only two rules: were show up on time. That was it. That was only one rule. If we have a meeting, show up on time. Other than that, do what you want. Show up on time. Play hard when you're supposed to play. But we had guys like Ken Stabler. I've got his, and then the Snake, and everybody had a cool nickname. The Snake, Ken Stabler. Cliff Branch was the fastest player in the NFL. Fred Biletnikoff, he was another receiver. He wasn't fast, so he just covered himself in glue. So when the football came near him, it just stuck. When they threw him a pass, he just threw up his hand and stick because he was full of stickum and glue. We had Pete Banaszak, the Rooster, the running back. They called him the Rooster. We had Ted Hendricks, the Stork, because he was just tall. He was a defensive lineman, like 6'8". We had Phil Filippiano, was the Foo. We had Gene Upshaw, the Governor. We had Skip Thomas, Dr. Death. He was one of the defensive backs. We had John Matuzak, the Twos. We had Jack Tatum, the Assassin. By the way, Jack Tatum, they call me Assassin. During that year, he was the hardest hitting defensive back in the NFL ever. And tragically, he hit a guy so hard in New England, Daryl Stingley. He hit the receiver Daryl Stingley so hard. This is a book about that hit, and it paralyzed. It was the first guy to be paralyzed in the NFL, Daryl Stingley, from a hit from the Assassin. And that's why NFL players started calling him the Assassin, and he didn't like that nickname because he felt really bad about, crippling Daryl Stingley, and it's kind of. And they talk about that in this book, and John Madden talks about it in some of his biographies, about how they went and visited Daryl Stingley in the hospital and stuff. And it was a violent game back then. It was a very violent game in the 70s. They did not have the rules that they have today. And one of the other guys that was on there was Willie Brown. And I remember in the Super Bowl of the 1977 season, the Super Bowl, Willie Brown intercepted that pass and took it back for a touchdown. And man, that got me up out of my chair as a little kid, and I was like, yeah, that is awesome. You know, Willie Brown taking that back, and I wanted to play defensive back. After that play, I wanted to play defensive back. I wanted to be a defensive back for the Oakland Raiders. So when I went to high school, that's what I tried. I played defensive back. I played strong safety. I played corner. Played a little bit of wide receiver. I was number 32 for my favorite player, Marcus Allen. I mean, my life is pretty much built around the Oakland Raiders. This book, if you want to read this book, which is about the Super Bowl, the crazy, out of control Raiders team full of misfits, outlaws, cast-offs, characters. Just if you want to read the mayhem, and if you've seen my video review of Motley Crue's The Dirt, Motley Crue was sort of the outlaw heavy metal band compared to the Badasses, the Raiders, which were sort of the outlaw NFL team. And hey man, when I go to Raiders games, if you know anything about the Raiders, it is cosplay heaven. Everybody at the Raiders games cosplays, but they all cosplay in Raider stuff. I mean, it's Darth Raider. It is pirates. It is, you know, the autumn wind is a pirate. You know, just win, baby. Commitment to excellence. That is the Raiders, right? Maybe not so much the last little while because they've sucked. But, you know, they had their moments. They had a lot of good moments. The Oakland Raiders are responsible for some of the most iconic moments in NFL history. Some of the most iconic bad referee calls in NFL history, if you think of the Tuck Rule and a few other things like that. Badasses. This is a great book. It's a great story about all of these characters that won the Super Bowl when they shouldn't have had any reason. They shouldn't have even been winning at all because they were all just washed up misfits that didn't belong on any other team, that had gotten cut from every other team, and Al Davis combined all of these crazy characters together and they won the Super Bowl. And man, I watched that Super Bowl as a kid and it changed my life. Turned me into an atheist. Turned me from a God-fearing little boy into a straight, dyed-in-the-wool atheist. Because there's no place for church. There's no place for church on Sunday. My church is the NFL, and I pray to the badasses of the NFL. My life is better for it. I gotta tell you, I am better for it. Don't mean to offend any of you people that believe, that are actual believers. To each their own. But you gotta give me this one. You gotta give me this. You've got to give me this, even if it means that I live in. There is no hell, there is no heaven, but I get to live in heaven, here on earth, watching the Raiders. That's just it. Now they've moved to Las Vegas. Do you know that? Did you know that? They went from Oakland when I was a kid to Los Angeles for about 10 years, then back to Oakland, and now to Las Vegas. They're the Las Vegas Raiders now. You know, I was born in Las Vegas, and I think they moved to Las Vegas in honor of me. Hey, thanks for indulging me in this video. Badasses. Another 10 out of 10 book. Absolutely. This book is badass. Says so right on the title. It says so right there. Badass. 10 out of 10.